In the last video, we introduced polynomials, and then we added them, we subtracted them. Now we're moving on to multiplying them, which is the end of this standard. So we'll have a quiz on this pretty soon. Okay. Let's quickly review what a polynomial is. Okay, it's a monomial or sum of monomials, where each is called a term of the polynomial, right? So that first one, 4x cubed, we learned that that is a monomial. We learned that the degree on that is 3, and we learned that the coefficient on that is a 4. On this second one, that's a binomial, okay? We have a degree of 1, right? Because it's the largest degree on this exponent here. And my lead coefficient would be 5. And that last one, we have a trinomial, okay? All of these are which are called polynomials, right? Poly is many. So that last one, that trinomial, our degree is going to be 3. The lead coefficient is 4. And we have 3 terms in that trinomial. That's why it's a trinomial. Okay, moving on. Now, let's say we got to multiply them. We talked earlier in the year about when we multiply different terms with the similar base and different exponents, we will add the exponents, right? So if I take 2x cubed and I multiply it by this thing here, this is going to be a large distributive property. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take 2x cubed and multiply it there and here and here and here. Okay, so I'm going to do a long drawn out way first and sort of give you what it looks like at the end. So this is going to be 2x cubed times x cubed, and then it's going to be 2x cubed times 3x squared, and then we're going to get minus 2x cubed times 2x, and then we're going to get plus 2x cubed times 5. Okay, now let's simplify each of these terms. This one together makes 2x to the 6. This one here will make 6x to the 5th, right? 2 times 3 is 5, and then I'm going to add these exponents. So that's a mistake I find that students make a lot, is you get in the habit of adding these exponents, right? And then they add these numbers. But remember, 2 times 3 is 6. And the only reason I'm adding these exponents is this says I have x multiplied 3 times, and then this is x multiplied 2 times. So in essence, I'm really multiplying x 5 times. Good? Excellent. Okay. Keep our negative here. 2 times 2 is 4. X cubed times x is x to the 4th. And then last we have 2x cubed times 5, so that's going to be plus 2 times 5 is 10 x cubed. Okay? And so again, when you multiply the coefficients on each of these, right? So the coefficient here is 2 and the coefficient is 3. You're going to multiply those. When you multiply these variables, okay, that's when you add the exponents. Okay, so just make sure that you maintain consistency there, okay? Okay, and here's our simplified version. Now, you do not need to write this step down, okay? I just wanted you to see how it's done, but I'm hoping that as you get through this, you can sort of quickly do it, so you can go from this step directly to here, okay? But if you need that middle step, by all means, please do it. It's not required. All right, next. Here we have 2 binomials, okay? And this is really the one that we're really going to be looking to. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. You see this box that I've got drawn here. And so one of the ways of doing this is I'm going to multiply each of these parts. So I have everything in here multiplied by each of these parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this. I'm going to take each of the terms from this binomial, okay, each of the terms here, and I'm going to place them here. So I have x and I have negative 4. Now make sure you keep the integrity of the negative here with this, okay? Then I'm going to take each of these terms here, it's 3x plus 2, and I'm going to place them in these above these boxes, okay? And then what the inside of these boxes represents is the product of each of these pieces, okay? So here's what I'm going to do. 3x times x, that gives me 3x squared. 2 times x is 2x. 3x times negative 4 is negative 12x. And then 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite each of these terms underneath. So I'm going to get 3x squared plus 2x minus 12x minus 8. And now I can simplify. These two terms are the same. They have the same degree. So I can combine those. So I'm going to get 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. And there's my final answer. Okay? That's one method of doing it. It's not the only method. In fact, a lot of times if you talk to people who have done this in the past, they won't even know how to do this. They won't necessarily know what you're doing. They'll use this thing. Sometimes people call it FOIL, whatever. Really, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take each term of this first binomial. Okay, I'm going to take the first term here and I'm going to multiply each term here. Then I'm going to take this next term and multiply by each term here. So watch. I'm going to do, it's sort of, you know, it's a multi-part distributive property. So x times 3 is 3x squared. X times 2 is positive 2x. Negative 4 times 3x is negative 12x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Now, if you can maintain consistency and you can not make errors doing this, then by all means, this one will work for you. If I find that a lot of times students need this one to sort of get their heads wrapped around what's actually happening before they can move on to this one, okay? So don't feel like you have to, they have to do this, okay? And that term FOIL, I'll explain what that means in a second here, okay? So I have the same terms, right? So I'm going to get 3x squared minus 10x minus 8, okay? Now, this thing called FOIL, and I hesitate to bring it up because it's a trick and I don't really like the tricks about it, but I want, in case somebody shows it to you or you see it somewhere else, I want you to know what this means. So what this says is it's first, outside, inside, last, okay? It says first, outside, that's terrible, outside, inside, last, okay? Don't write that down. Don't use this in class, but again, I'm just going to explain it so that you have an idea of what it's talking about. Right? FOIL is, it's essentially this same thing. It just says you do your outside pieces, right? So you're going to do 4 times 2, and then you do negative 4 times 2, and then inside and inside. Okay? It's just a way of doing each part there. Alright, so why don't you try these two, pause the video, test yourself on what you've learned so far, and then we'll come back to it. Alright, so hopefully on this one you've either done your grid, the 2x2 grid, or we can go ahead and just sort of use the distributive property. I'm going to use the distributive property here. So I've got 4b times b. So 4b times b is going to be 4b squared. 4b times negative 2 is negative 8b. Negative 5 times b is negative 5b. And then negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Put my pieces together, I get 4b squared. And then I get negative 8 and negative 5 is negative 13b plus 10. Looking good. Okay, let's try this one. Again, I'm going to do each piece times these. Okay, so I'm going to do x squared times x is x cubed. X squared times 2 is going to be 2x squared. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x. 1 times x is x, and 1 times 2 is 2. Combine my pieces that are my like terms, and I'm going to x cubed. I got 2x squared, that's 4x squared plus 5x plus 2. There we go. And there you have it. This is another one if you wanted to do, you could have done a grid. You could have done a x and then positive 2 grid, right? And then you could do 3 on this other side. So you do x squared, you could do 2x, and then you could do positive 1, okay? And then you can just multiply all these pieces and then write it out, and you'd end up with this line here, and then you simplify and you get this. Okay? All right, we'll do some more practice in class tomorrow. Thanks.